What's your creepiest glitch in the Matrix or unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? A few years ago I was living in PA working the graveyard shift from 10 PM to 7 AM at a supermarket as a cashier. While I have tons of weird stories, one will always stick in my mind as unexplainable. It was just after 3 AM, and I was stocking shelves near my register at the front of the store. After the managers left for the night, we would turn on a motion-activated doorbell of sorts so we would know when someone left the store if we were out of the line of sight of the door. Well, I hear this and poke my head out of the aisle to look at the door and see a guy walking in with a small cart. I figure I have a bit till he comes to the register, so I continue stocking the cereal aisle that has a clear view of my register. I'm fronting the shelves, aka pulling the boxes to the front to make the shelves appear more full. I distinctly remember fronting all of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch because I decide I want to put some after my shift. I see the guy out of the corner of my eye and head over to help him. He has maybe 15 items and I make my normal small talk. Bag the items in a specific way. Put the items in his cart and wish him a good night. I look at the clock and see it's now 3:23 AM. I suddenly feel extremely tired and have trouble keeping my eyes open, so I close them for a few seconds, then head back to the cereal aisle to try and wake myself up. When I get there, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch boxes aren't stocked or fronted. I look around seeing if my coworkers are playing a sick joke, but no one's around. I feel weird but decide to just go with it and redo the shelves. After I finish getting it back to the way it was, I see movement by my register and jump because I didn't hear the doorbell. To my surprise, I see the same guy, same items, have the same conversation, and look back at the clock. It's 3:23 AM again. I was super freaked out and have no idea how that happened. TLDR. While working the graveyard shift at a supermarket, I had the same customer interaction repeat itself as if I was in a time loop. My sister has some clone spirit kinda thing that everyone has seen but her. The first known event is when she was playing hide and seek and my cousin thought he found her. So while looking at her, he tells her to come out, and obviously my sister heard and was confused, so she comes out of her spot to see what he's looking at. He has the weirdest expression on his face and looks back at what he was looking at and supposedly it disappeared. Another time, I was coming out of the bathroom and I see her sitting in the corner behind my brother's nightstand. So I obviously pull the "what the duck, what are you doing" card, and she doesn't even look at me. So I call her name and she comes out of her room and asks what I want. But by the time I look back, her twin is gone. The most recent one is when I was walking to the kitchen and saw her walk into her room. She didn't close the door, meaning she was coming back out. So I follow her quietly and wait outside her room to scare her, only to have her walk up behind me and ask what I am doing. I suppose this will get buried because the lack of details and shit here, but I do really want to share this. It was a peaceful day, nothing to do, nothing to complain about. I was about 11 back then when this happened. A plane fly right across the sky. As a 11-year kid, you could probably guess my next move. I looked up as the plane fly, when suddenly ping lag struck. The plane froze, turn around 180 degree, continue flying, then disappeared right after. It was one of, or the most what the duck is that moment in my life. I told my mom about the plane, but she just act surprised and think in the head kids are dumb and cute. But no, seriously, I can't get an explanation for this. There is no way a plane could actually freeze in the sky for like a millisecond. There is also no way the plane could turn 180 degree on the spot, or fly away then disappear into non-existence. It still stick with me to this day. Me and my brother used to share a room back in elementary school. One night we were up probably 10 minutes past our bedtime, just sitting there talking. Me and him both blink at the same time and all of a sudden it's morning time, and my mom is heading down the hall with our clothes to wake us up for school. Still have no idea what the duck happened or how it happened. Edit. We both fully recall it happening and still have no clue. Fred's probably dead, but I'll post anyway. When I was in 6th grade, I went to a private Catholic school with very little people in my class, which was the entirety of the 6th grade. Less than 25 students. One day I woke up and went to school like every other day, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary until it was time for English class. Like normal, the teacher told us to open out literature book to the short story we had started reading. So I opened up to the last page I remember reading. When the teacher picked on someone to start reading, they were 2 or 3 full pages ahead of where I was. Extremely confused at this point, I turned to my friend and asked why we skipped ahead in the story. He gave me a confused look and said we were where we were supposed to be. When I told him where I thought we were supposed to be, he told me that's where we started the previous day, and that I even read part of the story out loud. I then checked the day of the week. I don't remember specifics, and it was a day ahead of what I thought it should be. Somehow, I lost a full day with absolutely no recollection of anything that happened. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I was in the back of my parents' car. We were driving along a 2-lane road on the way to some shopping trip to spend my birthday money. I was looking out the window to the lane next to us, counting the red cars because I was bored. Then I saw my car drive the opposite way to us. It was going about the same speed as us. Pretty slow. I was able to look into the car and was extremely freaked out when I saw both my parents in the front seat and me in the back. The other version of me was also looking back at me. As they drove past us, I looked out the window at the back of the car and saw myself also looking out the back of the car. When we drove back, I didn't see them again. 5 years later, I have never told anyone or experienced it again. I was watching TV with my dad. It was movie with Robert Redford and there was scene his character was playing snooker or something and my dad made a funny comment about it. I laughed. Few minutes later I went to kitchen and heard my dad making the same comment with the same voice second time. Rushed back to the TV room and there is the same scene from few minutes ago. I didn't laugh. Goosebumps all over my body instead. Next day I asked him about it. He said there was TV transmission glitch. And as he knows my fav movie is Matrix, he made this perfect deja vu joke. He said my shock was priceless. Yep, my dad is a troll. I was once walking in a park at night when I saw something green shoot up into the sky, like a firework, but it didn't burst. It temporarily lit up the sky and then it got dark again as the flash faded. Moments later I heard a very loud sound like a transformer having power go through it, and the next time I blinked it was bright and in the middle of the day. Not sure where the lost time went, and I didn't feel tired or anything. Unfortunately, I didn't have any obligations like work or anything, so I really have no idea of knowing. Abducted by aliens? No. OP just saw Mid doing some weird shit, so they flashy thinged him. I was watching TV when I was about 11 when I had this sudden compulsion to turn off all the lights in the house. I literally jumped up and ran from room to room. When I got to my bedroom on another floor, I saw that my net curtain had blown over my desk lamp and was smoking. It caught fire the second I got to it. I managed to put it out just in time. My granddad had his life saved that way. He worked in a soap foundry and he was repairing something with another guy over a huge vat of molten soap. He heard a voice call his name, Ben. He turned and no one was there. He turned back to work and he heard the voice again. Ben, come here. He went in search of the voice and just as he left, the platform collapsed and his co-worker fell into the vat and was killed. If he'd stayed there he would have died too. He never found the owner of the voice. My friend Sarah was in a nightclub, drunk off her face, when she got an overwhelming urge to tell a total stranger that her leg hurts. Edit. It didn't. All a bit strange. She ignores it but it doesn't stop, so she walks up to this guy and says, I know this is crazy but I've got a huge urge to tell you my leg hurts. I know that's crazy. Again. Sorry. But he bursts into tears. Turns out his dad had just died and they made a pact before that if there was an afterlife he would get a message to him saying a totally random phrase, so there could be no mistakes, which they decided was I've hurt my leg. Man, that's wicked cool. This happened around 1991. It's the middle of the night. I'm standing in my sister's living room and it must be a full moon, because even though it's around 1 AM and the lights are off, I can see clearly. There's a mixing bowl with popcorn kernels in the bottom on the floor in front of the TV and some rental VHS in a pile nearby. I hear a noise and turn around to see my sister's normally very friendly Labrador retriever looking like Cujo. Fangs bared, snarling, hackles raised. Suddenly there's a bright flash of light and I wake up like I hit the bed from a great height. I think that was a weird dream. Eventually, I fall back to sleep and in the morning I call my sister, planning to tell her the story, but she preempts me by telling me about the weird thing that happened in the night. They woke up to the sound of the dog snarling at about 1 a.m. Her husband thought there was a prowler in the house, got a gun and went to find the dog. She was standing in the living room snarling at the middle of the room. He couldn't see anyone, so he flipped on the light. No one was there. The dog instantly stopped snarling and walked to her bed like nothing had happened. He checked the property and went back to bed. We talked a bit and I found out they watched some rental movies and of course we had popcorn. Why, my sister is a little woo-woo at times, so I decided not to tell her about my night. She lived about 450 miles away, by the way. Edit. Punctuation. How TF you tryna tell me you accidentally astral projected whack?